So I just got off the phone with my state senator, Nancy Skinner, and I called my assembly member, Tony Thurmond, as well, because there is this bill coming up in the state Senate pretty soon. I think before July 15th, June 15th, it's going to happen, called SB 775. This is a bill to reform California's cap and trade. So there's a goal in California to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, that's carbon primarily, but other greenhouse gases, by 40% below 1990 levels by 2030. So that's a bunch of numbers. So basically, a large decrease in the amount of carbon we are emitting, and I think we're largely on track to hit that, which is pretty crazy. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and so California has what's called cap and trade. So this is where we cap the total amount of emissions that are allowed from all sorts of different, production, like concrete production, electricity production, refineries. There's all sorts of categories that are controlled by cap and trade, and our cap and trade is also aligned with I think a couple of provinces in Canada as well. So it's a pretty big system, and so it basically allows these emitters to trade what they call allowances. So allowances to emit carbon are traded on a somewhat open market, and there's some free allowances that are given. It's a pretty complicated system, but this is how California handles pricing carbon. So, and that's in opposition to like a carbon tax, which works in some different ways. But cap and trade is still a pretty good way to do it. It's not ideal, but it has been pretty effective. So pretty soon we're running out. The 2020, the current cap and trade in California runs out, and so there's a few bills in contention to replace it. And one of these is called Senate Bill 775. So this is California again. So what this would do is it's an upgrade to the existing cap and trade. So there's not going to be any more free allowances, so all greenhouse gas emitters will pay a predictable and steadily rising price on emissions. So I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. So basically there's currently a floor price on carbon emissions. So, I don't know the number, maybe it's $10 for a metric ton of carbon emissions. There's also going to be a ceiling price now. So that's a big change here. And the floor price and the ceiling price are going to steadily rise over time. So maybe every year, I don't know the exact details, but the price is going to keep going up. So that's going to happen until 2030 or 2040, I believe. And then the question is always, what do you do with that money? So right now, I think California's investing that money in the big rail project, and I think there's some solar research being done. There's different grants that are out there. So the big thing with this bill is most of that money, anywhere between 60 and 90%, the numbers are still being worked out, it's going to go back to California residents as a dividend check. So every quarter, every resident in California is going to get a check. And this is really great because what it does is, as we're rising the price of carbon over time, that's going to also increase prices in California. So everything's going to go up in price. Anything that is touched by carbon, so anything that's using energy that the natural gas energy is being used is going to go up. All prices are going to go up in response to this. So the dividend check is going to sort of shield people and help people deal with that rising price. And also, if you use less carbon just through your activities, if you drive an electric car, or if you walk a lot, or if you're buying food that is not energy intensive, whatever, you actually might make a little bit of money. So that's what the dividend check is about. So it's about putting a price signal into the market and helping people to make those decisions just through that price signal. There's also going to, part of the funds are also going to go towards investment in speeding up the transition to clean energy. So part of that, the exact percentage is not, I don't know yet, but it's going to be into that. So there's also going to be a border adjustment. So this is to prevent what they call leakages. So, if we are producing concrete in California and then the price to produce concrete goes up, we might produce it in Arizona. But now, if you're shipping concrete in from Arizona, you're going to have to pay this border adjustment to compensate for not paying the tax in California. So that protects jobs in California. protects production in California, all that kind of stuff. And of course, if I keep using concrete factory for some reason, but if you produce concrete in California, but you find new ways to do that that aren't as energy intensive and aren't as carbon intensive, that's gonna be very valuable as well. So this is a hybrid between cap and trade and a carbon tax. That's the cool thing about this. It's politically very smart, and I think has a good chance of passing. A lot of organizations are on board with it already. Yeah, some other things I wanted to cover, but so that's pretty much it, though. That's the idea. So here's what you can do. If this sounds, it sounds good to you. If this sounds like the way to reform cap and trade in California, which I believe it is, you could call your legislator in support of it. So my state senator is Nancy Skinner, and my assemblyman is Tony Thurmond. You could probably find your own. But I would encourage just calling them up. I just did it a bit ago. I was nervous to do it. I haven't called my senator before. But no, so I immediately went through. It was one ring on the phone, and I went through, and they talking to a person immediately. And they took my feedback. They were enthusiastic about hearing my feedback, and it was a great experience overall. I felt really good about it. So I think it's worth doing just to, connect with your government in that way. So thanks for listening. If you have questions about this bill, please post in the comments. I'm excited to engage on it and help make it more understandable, which I hope I've done a little bit here. I don't think I've done a great job, but I'll work on that. So anyway, that's SB 775 in California coming up soon. Thanks for watching.